All right, welcome to our Thursday night TICA class. We are doing 30 minutes early tonight because I'm in the process of moving to our new house, and I just need some extra time to pack and get settled. So I thought using my time wisely, like we had in our academy class this morning about time and the essence of time, and hopefully all of you guys have been able to catch that class now. I want to go over a little bit of an introduction because we've had a lot of new students join the Facebook group. So twice a week I teach in this Facebook forum, and the first part of the week is usually Tuesday nights. I do a live question and answer. It's usually anywhere between 8 and 8:30 p.m. I try to get it more towards 8:30 p.m. because I have Luke on that night. And so that is a live question and answer. It's usually anywhere between 1 hour and 2 hours. All of you are allowed to ask one question per week. Nothing's off limits, anything personal. If it has something to do with a certain trauma or frequency, sometimes you'll hear me say, reach out to me, because it might trigger you if I expose like the meaning of it to you in that way. And if you're an academy member, which is it's a year-long program, and even though there's certifications in there, you do not have to join the academy to get certified. It's just part of the year. Once you've been through a year, you are a trained quantum light teacher. So if you are in the academy, that's when you will get your personal sessions with me. The $22 a month Facebook group gets the question and answer and the Thursday night channeling, which is tonight. And the academy students get the one-on-ones, and they get the academy classes, which is 1,800 hours of the archive. And then every week I teach a new element to alchemy, a new element to basically quantum spirituality. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that for some of you who have joined and said, am I getting sessions? So Susie's going to restructure the format to make sure that that's more better communication in the outline. Okay, so first thing I want to start off with is something unique, and I want to do it as a form of an experiment. All of you guys know TICA. All of you know Frank. Frank has been my housemate for, what, 2 years now? 2 years. We're old cellmates, let's put it that way. Soulmates and cellmates. We've been through many lifetimes together, and we kind of came into this lifetime for some karmic energy repair and some friendship and some connection, and he's helped tremendously with our company, and he wrote the manual that you guys all have. He's just been an amazing friend and awesome roommate. So I actually wanted to start class with a group intention. We've got a full moon coming this weekend. So as you guys are kind of working through your own full moon energy, I wanted to ask you if you would lovingly contribute to Frank's highest desire and Frank's heart's desire. So Frank is getting ready to start and embark a new chapter of his life, and, you know, giving himself the freedom that he's always wanted and deserved, which is to kind of get on the road and travel the world, work remotely, doing the things that he's good at, abundant at, that his talents, his hobbies, his joys, his techniques, and allowing that to support him while he goes on the road. And obviously it's going to take a lot of courage. It's going to take a lot of ingredients, like we talked about in this morning's class. It's going to take some planning. It's going to take some trust. It's going to, you know, move through some fear, and he's going to get on the road with his own best friend, his own soulmate, which is himself. And what I would love for you all to do is, I would love for you just to take a minute, and I would love for you all to just quantumly focus seeing Frank on the road in his highest joy. His joy would be to have a caravan that is equipped for him to be comfortable, like a small living environment, for him to be comfortable, sustainable, convenient, and yet create a beautiful sanctuary for him where he can go off-road if he wants to, or he can fit in spaces but still has all of the, you know, qualities of home. You know, he loves to cook, he loves to camp. So just take a minute. He really deserves this, and this will be a good test in his receiving. Everyone just point your quantum focus at Frank and send him your vision of seeing him already on the road, seeing it done. Okay, seeing him living his heart's desire, cheerleading him from the sidelines, checking out his Facebook page, checking out his Instagram. Where is Frank this week? Where is Frank next week? What kind of trouble is Frank finding this week? You know, he's a wonderful dancer, so I'm sure he'll find himself, you know, stumbling into, you know, dance clubs here and there, and God knows where. And hopefully I'm trying to persuade him to start a blog for this second generation of indigos, that instead of we didn't make it, we made it, to be an example of, you know, his era of someone who is in their early 60s taking full power and control back over their life and going and living a childhood that they never had. So that's what I would love for you guys, just to see Frank doing that. And, you know, we can do this each week with one of you, where we all come together as a family and through our quantum intense focus, see something already done. Now, if this inspires any of you to contribute in any way to him, or to be of service to him in any way, or to help him in any way, then your heart will resonate with that information, and you can reach out to Frank and you can assist him on his journey. Same goes with any of you. You know, I've watched you do that with each other, and I think that that is a beautiful experience. I've seen some of you in need, and I've seen some of you donate money to each other. And I'm going to tell you that none of that goes unseen, and all of that is amazing and spectacular, and that's what TICA is about. It's about us, no one in a leadership position, us all walking side by side, hand in hand, rooting for each other's greatness, and seeing each other complete. Because when we see ourselves complete, there's no work to be done. There's no ego to calm down. There's no trauma to heal. It's done. It's seeing ourselves done. And when we see Frank done, he will be able to move quickly and swiftly into that role, because now the 100 monkey effect is taking form, and it's not just all the weight of the universal spectrum on his shoulders having to focus. We're all doing that for him. So it creates a family where now we're all rooting for this, and it takes some of the pressure off of him feeling alone. So let's do that. However you are excited to do that, I know that Transcendence will definitely be contributing to the Frank Fund for the rest of our life, just as long as he shares his journey, because to me, him sharing his journey allows other people to share their journeys. You know, some of you guys are becoming nomads. Some of you guys are selling everything and hitting the roads. And the best thing that you could do is tell that story. Tell that story on YouTube, on Facebook, in a blog, in an Instagram post. Because what it does is it inspires those who feel trapped and stuck, that if they can do it, I can do it. And that's really what helps shift our belief systems, okay? And this new generation, I love this new generation that's coming up, because it's not even a thought for them. You know, owning the big house with the fancy cars feels like a jail cell to them. You know, give them a backpack and some power bars, and that's their abundance. So we're learning, the elders are learning from the youth, and the youth is learning from the elders now. So this is awesome, and it goes perfect alignment with tonight's class. And tonight's class is called Creating Your Heart's Playground. So I've been coaching for a really long time, and the number one suffering that I see in all of you, every single one of you, including the suffering that I've seen in myself, is that you have so much love to give, and no one to receive it, or no outlet to create it in, or no voice to say it in, or no courage to, you know, share it. Right? And that is because all you are is loved, and all you've been told since you were a child is not to do that, not to be that, not to feel that, not to say that. So, of course, because you weren't allowed to share the greatness of this amazing heart that you've got, you have created patterns and belief systems now that it's not allowed, which means now you generate situations, circumstances, people, and events that don't allow you, don't want it, don't, you know, they actually reject you for it, or, you know, you have to disassociate from the feeling because it's too painful. And that was exactly the experience that I went through in my relationships. It was like I wanted to vomit love and there was no outlet. It's almost like wanting to give and there was not enough outlets. There was not enough, there was no one who wanted it, basically, the type of love that I had to give. And I found my career, which was one outlet, but intimacy and other types of love is also an expression. So, you know, we're going to talk about two things tonight. We're going to talk about creating your heart's playground, which goes perfectly with the academy class if you guys are in the big academy, where I talked about utilizing your time as your greatest currency and your wealth. And that's really, really important, that every moment you are focusing on your heart's desires right now, because you're in 5D, which means the universe is looking at you with a microscope and looking at every action, every thought, every belief, and it's responding very quickly. So if you're not using your time that's going into the direction of your highest expression, the universe will reward you with the frequency that you currently in is wanting and wishing and hoping and waiting. Okay, so the universe is going to give you more of that, and, you know, take opportunities away so that you have to wait, or take opportunities away so you stay stuck because you believe you're stuck. So right now your beliefs are literally like magnified. Right? And belief means being the lie, so it's being the character of whatever you believe yourself to be. So I want you all to see Frank on the road so that Frank can see himself on the road, right? Because if I see him on the road, then I'm technically giving him permission as a reflection of him that I believe in him. And then by me believing in him, it's easier for him to believe in himself, right? So it's like a reparenting process that we're all doing for each other in this way. It's like finally the parents are saying, yes, go do that, go on that adventure, go say that, go be that, go lose control, go be irresponsible, which obviously we're not. But again, responsibility is the ability to respond. So designing your heart's playground, creating your heart's playground. If there was a way that you could share the love inside of your heart, if there was an outlet, what would that look like? What would your playground be? Because your heart wants to play. And when I realized that the soulmate that I was working to create was more of a playmate, where I could literally empty my heart into, and less of a relationship where there was a contradiction and all of this like logic, I was like, I need my heart's playmate. I want to create that. And when I like let go of the rigidness of the old, you know, paradigm of relationships, I realized how much fun that was actually going to be. And to create a space for my heart, to have a playground, you know, and my children are definitely one playground for my heart, right? Your children are one playground for your heart. Your pets are one playground for your heart. Your hobbies are one playground for your heart. Your music is one playground for your heart. But if you wanted to create the grand stage, the grand playground, the Disneyland of your heart, what would that look like? How would you express? How would you play? Because so many of you have forgotten how to play. You know, when I say self-love, you go, right? But designing your heart's playground is all about self-love, but it's a back-edged, backdoor effect. So designing your heart's playground, like Frank's heart's playground is the open road, is not being constructed or constricted by time and space, not having to go into a routine where he loses his identification of his soul and he gets stuck in his mind. Getting away from the routine of the everyday matrix and being able to be a new person every morning when he wakes up, which Buddha talks about. Frank will be able to live that, you know, with different rays of frequency in different locations and different soul signatures and different essences and different languages. He will be able to use the planet as his playground. And that is the way that he's going to express his heart. So how is it for you? You know, what is it for you? For me, it is this work that I'm doing. This is my soul's playground. This is my heart's playground. Being able to do this work, teach these classes, help do the mentorship, you know, have these soulmated friendships and these connections. This is where I don't have to censor myself. So think about your playground as a place where you don't have to censor yourself. You don't have to stop being you for a minute. Think about when children get out of the car and they see the playground, and all they do is they make a run for it. They don't even know where they're going. They just get out of the car and they make a run for it. And all of a sudden, when they get to the playground, their heart's desire shows up, and they go do this, and they go do this, and they go do this. So when you're thinking about your heart's playground, what does that look like? How would you express that? Because this is interlocked with your divine purpose. This is encoded with your soul's mission. Believe it or not, your heart's desire, your heart's playground, and your soul mission are one-to-one reflection. So a lot of you are saying, you know, what's my purpose? Your purpose is your heart's desire, is your talent and how you help people doing that. And even if Frank never blogged or never Instagrammed or never told a soul, he would bump into someone at a restaurant and they would say, oh, hey man, where do you live? And he'd go, oh, right now I live here. And in that moment, it would change that man's life. That man would be forever changed by hearing what Frank is doing with his time and space. So even if he didn't make a grand expression of it, and he told people on the road what he was doing, he would be influencing change in that way of, we don't have to do it this way. Everything I talked about this morning in the academy class was learning how to break the rules. And learning how to break the rules abundantly, right? Abundantly, because whatever you need will always show up when you need it. Worrying about what you're going to need makes it actually not show up. But just Frank getting in the open road and saying, I'm going to drive 200 miles today, and then I'm going to go have some food in a restaurant, and in that restaurant, I will figure out who I want to be and where I want to go next. And if I am in alignment of that frequency, there will be someone in there that will either want to be a part of it, contribute to it, or learn from it. How beautiful is that? That's the only mission that we have for the rest of our life, is flow. We've been talking about flow versus force. When you force something, you logic it, you control it, you stop the universal's help. You stop the people, places, and circumstances that were lined up to give you the money, to give you the opportunity, to give you the book deal, to give you the circumstance. You stop that when you are worrying about how it's going to happen. You just need to get in the car and start driving. So, or you need to just start running towards your playground, which means if you're an artist, you need to pick up your art. If you're a musician, you need to pick up your music. If you're, you know, and you may not be motivated right now because it's like you're grumpy. You know, there's been times where I've pulled up to the playground and Luke's been grumpy or tired or just woken up from a nap, and we pull up and he wakes up and like, Betty, we're at the playground. And it takes him a few minutes and he's kind of like, and then I just sit there and I wait for him to acclimate. And I said, well, you want to go home? No. Okay, well, we're here. It may take me 15 minutes. But then he's like, okay, I'm done with this experience of being grumpy. All of this fun is waiting over here. It's the same experience. So wherever you are right now, if you have no motivation, if you have, you know, if you're sabotaging right now, just be thinking about, if I could design my heart's playground, would that be a divine partnership? Would that be a wellness center? Would that be, you know, a spiritual retreat? Would that be a conscious community? Would that be, you know, a series of 12 books? Would that be workshops? Would that be sitting on the beach, collecting information from the sun all day, you know, playing with animals, rescuing animals, growing plants, growing flowers? Where is your heart's playground located? Because that's going to be very important for the summer months coming in, is you knowing. You don't have to know who you are. You don't have to know where you're going or how it looks. You just have to know what you expect from this playground, right? Like in your mind, if you were a kid and your mom said you're going to Disneyland, like what would that be like? It wouldn't be one experience. It would be a plethora of experiences and different abilities to create, right? So you're in it's a small world after all, and then you're on the Matterhorn mountain, and then you're in the water rides, and you're a different person on each ride. Some are fearful, some are scary, some are challenging, some are exciting, but when you leave, it's a rush. And that's pretty much what the planet was designed for. Earth was designed for you to create an experience, create an experience, create an experience. So when you don't create your heart's desire, what are you creating? You know, you're creating drama, you're creating stress, you're creating missed opportunities, you're watching other people play on the playground. That's usually what's happening, is you're watching other people play on the playground, okay? So, awesome. So Tammy says galactic partnership and all the experience that comes with it. So what does that feel like? What would you do at that playground? How would you interact on that playground? What would that ride be like? How would you share your heart? How would you express yourself? How would you heal yourself through that? So creating your heart's playground is super, super important for May and June. Really want you guys to spend some time working in that. Now, it's funny because I had a check-in session with a new student today, and literally we were having this conversation, and I thought, isn't this funny that this is exactly what she needed, and this is the class I was going to teach tonight. And the second part of this class is important because to actually play on this playground, there is a marriage that needs to take place between the three aspects of you, right? Because a part of you is a sore loser, is a homebody, is afraid to put themselves out there, afraid to climb up the ladder because you could fall off, afraid to go down the slide because you could, you know, get a face full of sand, afraid to get germs. There's a version of you that's afraid to play, right? And the soul is going, come on, come on, come on, trust me, just come on, it's going to be fun, we'll figure it out when we get there. And the heart's like, yeah, come on, let's go. And the body's like, oh, I'm in resistance because the last time we were at the playground, I broke my arm. Right? So when I'm talking about this marriage process, I'm talking about just close your eyes and imagine that the me, myself, and I is more like a married couple. Right? You've got the masculine, you've got the feminine energy in a married couple, regardless of sex, regardless of gender. There's usually a masculine and a feminine energy in a marriage. And now think about an unhealthy marriage that you have witnessed. Right? What is the number one issue in a bad marriage? Miscommunication, right? So there is a miscommunication going on between you and you, right? So it's almost like, imagine a married couple sitting in the car, waiting to get out of the car. One of them wants to go to Disneyland and one of them doesn't, right? And one of them is saying, no, we can't go play because then we're going to have to leave. And then it will be so heartbreaking that I can't imagine it. Or it won't be fun, or I'll get sick, or I'll get hurt. And the other one's going, it doesn't matter if we get sick or hurt. It's the experience. It's who we're going to be when we're sliding down the slide before we get sick. So it's like this whole like conversation that's going on between the you and you. So the masculine and the feminine, the marriage within you is super important, that you literally have this like marriage counseling. I've been talking about kind of like the mediator energy between the version of you that is scared as hell and the one part of you that is literally drooling over this idea. And sit each other down and say, what's the problem here? And the divine masculine is usually about, it needs to look like this, and it needs to be this way. And the divine feminine says it needs to feel this way, right? And how it looks and how it feels, so you just turn your backs to each other and you do nothing. So when you do that, what happens is you really limit your ability to experience the moment and experience the having fun. We know every time we get in a car, there's a chance for an accident. There's a chance for a rainstorm. There's a chance that someone's going to cut you off. But you still drive. So, but when it comes to living your heart's desire or creating your soul's playground, you don't move because of the reasons why the little intermarriage that's going on is in conflict of not knowing what it would look like, or not knowing what it would feel like, or worried about getting hurt, or worried about not having enough, or worrying about not being good enough, or not being tall enough to ride this ride, which I've experienced many times. So you get the idea. So when you're creating your soul's and your heart's desired playground, what does that look like? What does that feel like? Okay? And then when you start to visualize yourself, you'll see the marriage counseling that needs to happen. Because all of a sudden, the fear or the conflict of the relationship of why you're not running towards it, right? So let me ask you, Frank, since you're on the spotlight tonight, what would be one of the things, one of the fears that's coming up for you in this idea of packing it all up and going on the road? Like, what is one of your fears? I'll tell you guys what he says.
Having all my financial ducks in a row.
He's worried about having all his financial ducks in a row before he gets on the road, right? Okay. So is that a masculine fear or a feminine fear? That's a masculine fear, right? It's all gotta be in order, right? Okay, so wouldn't that be equivalent of saying, I need perfect weather?
Yep.
Right? I cannot get on the road unless the weather is perfect. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, if money didn't exist, right? And in your playground, it would be a good idea if you guys eliminated the idea of money on your playground. Because believe it or not, as soon as Luke gets onto the playground, he doesn't have any friends. But he walks up to someone and says, do you want to be my best friend? And they go, yeah. And for an hour, they're best friends. So he creates abundance. He creates a playmate for himself. He creates the counterpart in order to have the better experience where he can reflect off of himself and play the imaginary games with himself. And when that is complete, he's done. So that's his abundance, is his ability to say, hey, do you want to hang out with me, right? Do you want to do this with me? And the coolest thing about it is that everyone in the universe, when you're living your heart's desire and when you're in your soul's playground, everyone wants to contribute to that. That's why I started with this class the way I started this class, because it's like people will see Frank, and it's almost like my favorite scene in Forrest Gump, right? When he just starts running, right? I want you to watch that movie, Frank, because when he starts running, he has no purpose. He has no direction. He just wants to run. How many thousands and thousands and thousands of people does he inspire? And they all collect a different metaphor, right? Man, you're running away from the man, or you're running away. And it's like everyone found a different, and they all started contributing to him. They started mimicking him. They started growing beards like him. They started wearing Go Forest t-shirts, right? There's so many little nuggets in that movie. I would put that in your homework list, because that's just a metaphor of someone who literally lives moment to moment to moment to moment and has their heart completely open, even though it gets smashed a million times. And in the end, he's rewarded with his greatest reflection of himself, his child. I'm going to cry. So watch that movie, because again, having your financial affairs in order before you dive into the unknown is a contradiction of physics. So how about us having some marriage counseling with your divine masculine and feminine right now and saying, you know, let's look at money the same way we're going to look at weather. We might have a day where we run out of money. And on that day that we run out of money, there will be someone that is literally triggered from the universe to feed Frank. But it's got to be Frank's job to receive that, to let his masculine pride go. And in that journey, he will literally learn how nature is in total flow with each other. Because everything works in harmony and everyone works together in nature to provide nature. You know, the fish, they literally purify the water through their own motion. Our breath helps the trees help us. We're all working in unity with each other, and we need to be one with nature, okay? So it's really about Frank going, well, if I run out of money, then I ran out of this resource, but the universe will provide this resource, okay? And learning to trust. Because that's again the divine feminine saying, trust me, we'll just feel ourselves to the right place where we're rendezvous with the right person who's going to provide a beautiful meal for us. And it's Frank's job in that moment to receive a different form of abundance. A different form of abundance, okay? And he's got to know that it's all going to be taken care of. So a personal story, you know, Susie and I take our first financial play trip where we didn't spend money on salaries or putting it back into the business, and we took a couple of $1,000s and we went to Costa Rica. And I will tell you that there was part of my ego that was like, oh, is this really, do we need to be doing this right now? Financially, we're getting ready to move. And then part of me was like, I need to learn how to play. I need to learn how to let go of my work and just be with nature. And when we came back, a couple of different people had watched videos over the weekend and been inspired and donated over $2,000 to our company throughout the weekend. So pretty much our trip was free. And I thought, okay, that's the April lessons that I've been talking about. It wasn't a negative lesson, it was a positive lesson of I'm getting paid to play and my heart's desire in my playground, right? So if you don't know what your playground looks like, then you're going to be jealous of someone else's playground. And you're also going to watch other people play more than you are working on playing yourself. You are going to be focusing on watching other people play, and then you're worried, well, I don't know what my purpose is. All I really want to do is just do this right now. All I really want to do is, and by Frank jumping on the road, that is his soul's purpose. And the thing is from him doing that, he will have endless books and endless stories. He will have endless knowledge and endless wisdom. Isn't that why we come, self-realization? The purpose on the planet is not to be some global leader. The purpose on the planet is self-realization. And through his experiences and your experiences, that is how you're going to self-realize. And through self-realization and letting your heart be your value, letting your heart be the navigational point within you, that's what's going to pay your bills. And your bills will be paid through people, places, and things, you guys. It's not coming from one paycheck. It is not coming from one way. It is coming when you are in alignment with your playground. Money is going to flow for you because the universe is watching you play. And if you've ever watched your child in absolute play, all you want to do is contribute to that. You want them to play more. Why do you buy your children toys? Because you want them to play. Why do you take them on trips? Because you want to watch them play. The universe wants to watch you play. The universe does not want to watch you suffer. So when you start playing, resources, circumstances, events, people, places, and things line up to want to contribute to that. Okay, very important. But if you are fixed on suffering, then you're the child that has to live in the bubble because of all of your allergies that's looking out the window watching all of the other children play on the playground. And that's probably what some of your life has felt like. You're the bubble boy, right? I can't, nope, I can't play. And that is because you have not allowed your soul's playground, your heart's playground, your heart's desire to be the most important thing in your universe. My happiness is the most important thing in my universe. My suffering is not important, and if it happens, I quickly resolve it so that I can get back to playing, so the universe can now show up in that way. Because again, your actions that you're taking, the time that you're spending, the universe is matching that one for one. It's like you put in $1, the universe is putting in $1 right now, okay? So if you take an action step towards visualizing your heart's desire and spending time playing there and working through the shadows that are in the way of that, the universe is going to reward you through people, places, and things. You're going to rendezvous with people, places, and things, which means you need to stop trying to do this all by yourself. You are a piece of the puzzle, and you aren't going to self-realize until you connect with the other puzzle pieces within yourself. You know, it's like every single time I do a session, I see an aspect of myself inside of you that is either past, present, or future, and I connect instantly with that, and it helps me build my puzzle, right? That's what we're all doing for each other on this journey, is we're putting ourselves back together through reflections of ego or higher self. What triggers you is your ego reflection. What inspires you is your higher self's reflection.